Hey, 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 people out there in live land, how we doing tonight? Cyberneticshark here with the podcast of love here, people. No, I'm just joking, not the love. We know what we need. But anyways, welcome to the MCU's Bleeding Edge tonight, folks, here out there in the amazing YouTube, Restream, Twitch, wherever you guys are watching from. Thank you for coming on by, stopping on by, and checking us out. We appreciate y'all. We have a wonderful cast tonight to talk about the What If episode 3 that we'll be talking about tonight. We have, of course, a couple of veterans that are with us. Of course, we have the awesome Mr. Jeff Sloboda here with us, my co-host and master thespian, I would like to call, of the MCU. And then, of course, we have Arch from Podcast of Champions back with us, too. Awesome to have you. Thanks for coming on by, Arch. You have anything you'd like to say, sir?
No, happy to be back. Love talking to you guys. I'm sure we'll get to some plugs and stuff later, but let's get to it.
Awesome. And we have returning, finally, thank you, God, for the great Perry, our other co-host that's been missing in action for a while. It's great to have Mr. Perry back. Say hi, Perry.
Hi, Perry.
Well, not actually say hi, Perry. Say hi to the live people.
Oh, it is great to be back. I thank you guys for checking in, and I'm just excited to come back and talk some Marvel. We got great stuff coming up to talk about, and I'm so excited. Let's do it.
Awesome. Great to have you back, sir. And then we have two new people coming to us on our podcast tonight. Mr. Travis and Mr. John Sassone. Is that how you say it?
It's Sansone. We have vowels at the end of our last name on Long Island. We're all
there we go. Yeah.
That's why I was able to pronounce it automatically.
Yeah. So we have these two awesome guys joining us for the first time on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. They are both awesome and been fun to get to know. They have a podcast as well. And why don't either John or Travis, why don't you talk a little bit about it to give people a little bit of knowledge of who you guys are?
Travis, should I give the intro?
Yeah. I mean, go ahead and tell them all about it.
Let me think. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Kree and Skrull of all ages, my name is John, and I am from the MCU Beyond Infinity podcast, a place where fellow Marvelites have assembled to rate, review, discuss, theorize, and wax intellectual about any and all things related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Joined as always by my trusty co-host and Ravager brother in arms, Travis. I did that without the notes this time, Travis.
Yeah. We really should amend it to mention how much we talk about Fast and the Furious and Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
We do.
It's up for an MCU podcast.
It is. We have our podcast where weekly we discuss the latest installments of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Obviously, there's been so much new content with the Disney Plus streaming series this year. It was a really good time for us to kind of jump on board. We've had very little off weeks. Some weeks it's doubled up with our content. So it's been really great over the past couple of months, not only to get to talk Marvel with Travis, but other things like movies about serial killers starring Michael Rooker and the Fast and the Furious and Twilight franchises as well. It divulges into many a tangent. So... And we're so happy to be here too. Thank you guys so much.
Oh yeah, very much.
Awesome,
so.
Great to get. Go ahead, Travis.
Oh no, I was saying very much. So we're happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you guys here. We're looking forward to just talking MC Marvel stuff with you guys and getting to know you guys even more. It's gonna be great. I think it's going to be just a great show all together, especially that we got the whole trio back together and then just having the great Arch with us. Of course, like I said, Arch is from the Podcast of Champions. If you guys have not checked that amazing podcast out, definitely check it out. They just released a new episode just today, all about a great episode. It was really enjoyable, really fun. So, guys, definitely check that out. And also, don't forget to check out their awesome free forum called...
Sakar.
I'm having a hard Sakar. Thank you.
We call it Sakar, but it's sakar.freeforums.net. It's all kind of geek culture stuff. So anything you want to chat about, we do a lot of MCU stuff, but DC Star Wars, Star Trek, anything else in the realm of geekdom that you want to talk about, we're open to it. So check it out, and anybody's welcome on the podcast as well. It's open. We'd love to have guests, so anybody that wants to show up, just check out the site. We'd love to have you on. Love to chat.
Awesome. Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, Sakar.net, guys. I don't know why that slipped my mind, especially when Jeff Goldblum's character from Thor Ragnarok is probably one of my favorite characters, and he lives on Sakar. Anyways, but like we were saying, we were going to be talking about the What If episode tonight, episode 3, which is a very interesting turn, too, for this. I mean, this is only the 3rd episode of this series, but I think it takes a really dark turn, as a lot of people I've noticed saying on their, either in Facebook, social media lands and stuff like that. A lot of people thought this was such a dark turn, especially from what we're used to seeing in the MCU. So to start us off, I mean, this is kind of an interesting start. We kind of get the Watcher coming back and, setting up the story for us, saying that, this is an alternate, version of what could have happened if the Avengers did not assemble. And we, right at the get-go, we get, Iron Man, Nick Fury, and Black Widow basically imitating the same exact scene from Iron Man 2. And some things unfold in this little thing that are completely different from the original Iron Man 2 film. So, to start us off, guys, what do you guys think about that scene and kind of how it unfolded? And what was your reaction when what happened to Tony versus what actually happened to him in the movie? How did that make you guys feel? So, let's go ahead and start with you, Perry, since it's been a while since we've heard from you, sir.
It's been a while.
I always do that and nobody else laughs. So I'm it's honestly like I'll take a 2-second thing just to say thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing that, because I do that all the time and thank you. Appreciate it. So about the episode. So yeah. It kind of threw me off because I was like I was sitting there, I don't watch too many of the promos for like the next episodes and stuff because I kind of like to go in blind a little bit when it comes to like episode by episode. And I feel like sometimes those like promos can give away too much. But so I went into this one completely like blind. I didn't see any of the like videos or any of like the promo shots. And I was just kind of shocked. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Okay. Now what's going on here? And it was great to have, it was great to be like sitting there and kind of be thrown off a little bit, like, cause usually like with Marvel, there's like the feel, you get it back and forth. You understand kind of what's going on, especially with the last 2 episodes. You were like sitting there going, okay, I see where this is going. Okay, cool. That's a nice little surprise. This one, like you were saying, Cyber, it kind of like takes it takes that dark turn and you're like, oh, Tony Stark's dead. Like, oh, okay. Where do we go from here? He was like the start of it, Where do they go from here with building the Avengers? Like, what's next? Like, and then obviously like it just snowballs with the other Avengers and you're just sitting there like, okay, so like what's going to happen next? Where are they going to take that? And I thought the episode was really cool because it kind of felt like a murder mystery with like superheroes. Like it just felt like one of those things where you're like, they're trying to solve the problem. And it's like, it's kind of like Clue, like, was it the maid in the kitchen with the knife, So it was cool. I liked it a lot. It was a cool stem off of what they did the last couple episodes where it kind of felt like it was like, oh, feel good. Like, what if this happened? And then it was like, but what if this happened and everybody dies? Like, so it was good. I like that.
Yeah, it was very, very different, like you were saying, especially from the first 2 episodes. This one definitely didn't feel like a carbon copy of the previous episodes, I feel, of other films. So that was nice to see a little difference, most definitely. So moving on to John, what was your thoughts about that scene, that beginning scene with the Iron Man 2 kind of like parody that we dealt with?
Sorry, my mic's kind of backfiring. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Fury's Big Week. Did you guys remember this when it had come out in like 2012? But a lot of the MCU,
I have it.
You have it? Yeah. I've never been crazy about the majority of the MCU like tie-in material, whether it be like the novelizations or the spin-off novels. I know they did the Thanos Quest spin-off novel, but one of the exceptions of that was Fury's Big Week, which kind of was one of the first things that put the Marvel Cinematic Universe into perspective. And they actually had released a official timeline for the first time leading up to the Avengers. The 8 weeks prior to the Avengers 2012 release, they had released this comic every Wednesday called Fury's Big Week, where each day of the week was one of the events that had occurred throughout the first phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, eventually tying into the Avengers film. And at that time, I wasn't bought and sold into the MCU the way I am now. I went into the first Avengers movie rather pessimistically, and looking back on that now, I'm obviously a fucking fool. Is it cool to curse on the show, by the way, guys?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
No,
Cool.
you fucking bastard.
I know. Well, I put pants on just in case I stand up. So normally we do this over an audio medium, so I had to put on a shirt this time.
Well, normally we like to keep it G-rated, man. But now that you already opened up the fuck stream or whatever, like we might as well just let it go to shit.
I know. But yeah, starting at the beginning with Tony Stark. Again, Iron Man 2 is something I think a lot of the fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe don't look back on too fondly. It was one of those missed opportunities for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was their version of Demon in a Bottle. Tony Stark doesn't have, like, Iron Man as a character doesn't have a ton of like memorable comic book runs. One of the ones he does have is the Demon in the Bottle run by David Michelinie, and I think John Romita Sr. had done it at the time. So that's the classic Iron Man run. They kind of botched it in the film. So kind of getting this like redemptive kind of look at it, looking at it in a different light was something that was really nice. One of the conceits with What If, it's hard to not compare it to DC's Elseworld kind of spin-offs, is Elseworld always did this really good job of giving us these wholly unique stories, where Marvel always kind of said like, well, what if this happened just a little bit differently? And it was always this kind of like retread of these events. I was really happy that this episode right from the bat was saying, this is not going to be a retread. We are going to tell a wholly unique story with the what if setup, like what's going to happen. Again, Perry, you said it kind of best. I was cackling in my head, like the Agatha Christie Avengers, almost that murder mystery of the Avengers. Very, very nice setup for a what if premise.
Completely agree. Definitely agree there. How about you, Travis? What were your thoughts on that scene?
Okay, they've already kind of touched on a lot of it, where I liked that this wasn't just a rehash of the movies. It uses the bare minimum of each of these movies as a jumping off point, even more so than the last episode. And the murder mystery element definitely appealed to me. I did wonder, like I had heard that one of the constraints they had was that they weren't allowed to introduce anyone new to the universe. So I didn't pay attention to the opening credits to see who was in there. But yeah, I'll go ahead and spoil that this was my favorite episode so far, because it's just a fucking dope episode. And I also like them using Iron Man 2 as the jumping off point, because Marvel has a tendency to revisit some of their least liked films to make them more enjoyable in a way. Like Thor: The Dark World, they went back to on a number of occasions now, and I'm like a sucker for that one. I don't think Iron Man 2 is as good as that, really, in some ways. It's kind of generic.
It's got the best suiting up scene, though, Travis.
It
the
does,
racetrack
it does.
scene. Yeah, the best suit up of any Tony Stark appearance.
Yeah. Other than that, though, it's kind of just there. It's perfectly fine. They introduced Black Widow and all that, but yeah.
Iron Man 2 is a favorite of Arch's, just to point it out. Like, it's one of Arch's favorite.
Arch, we're like huge fans of Dark World, and we defend it and talk about it a lot. So
I'm a huge Dark World fan too. I love those, man.
Yeah.
We're not completely at odds then. Yeah.
In the beginning, there was darkness, and from the darkness came the Dark Elves. So we're all in agreement.
I'm not saying I don't like Iron Man 2. It's just one of my least favorites in the MCU. I like everything in the MCU pretty much, though. So it's fine. Which is your favorite child or least favorite, I guess? I just want to point out that the voice actor, like in the trailer for Tony Stark, didn't sound right to me, but it sounded better here for some reason. I know that's another thing since they're not able to get everyone back. But yeah, that's about it.
It's the same voice actor from the Spectacular Spider-Man show that you like, Travis, the animator who did Tony Stark on that show.
Oh, really? I don't even remember Tony Stark being in that show.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, he definitely sounded better in the episode versus in the promo, like you were saying, Travis. I totally agree with that. So let's moving on. How about you, Mr. Arch? What were your thoughts on that beginning scene, sir?
First of all, I love that donut shop. It's one of the settings I actually have visited in real life to just check out. I was out in LA one time, and I think I've said this on the show before, but I was really excited to go in there and sit in that seat in that donut shop. And spoilers, there is no seating inside that donut shop, so that's always like a mind bender for me.
You went there in real life?
Yeah, I've been there in real life. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
It's pretty near LAX, so if you ever fly into LAX, it's pretty close. Just worth it to swing a couple blocks down the road. And go
it's in the donut district of LA. It's like there's that seedy kind of donut and diner district at LA, which is like a real thing.
Yeah, I don't know nothing about LA to say exactly, but it's seriously like 5 or 6 blocks. It's like a 2 or 3 minute drive away from LAX.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, check it out if you're out there. It's Randy's Donuts. It's a cool place, but there's no seating inside. Just so you know. So I just always think that's cool. But yeah, I did think it was a cool setting. The thing I took away, and I'll just kind of keep my thing pretty short here, but with everything that you guys are talking about, the thing I thought that was really great about this episode, which really made it as good as it was, because it's my favorite so far as well, was that the whole opening scene is misdirection. Like they've kind of already got us accustomed to the fact that we open and we start off with the choice that changed everything, and you're led to believe that this death of Tony here is what changes everything, but it's not. And I will let somebody else pick up on what that actually is. But by the time we get to the ending episode, we realize that the choice that was made that changed everything happened who knows how long ago, like 10, 15 years ago. We're not really sure. Mm-hmm. But it didn't really start with this death of Tony Stark. That was a symptom of what really happened. So I thought that was kind of the coolest part of this episode is figuring that out, and it really added like a whole different layer to the mystery that's actually going on. But yeah, other than that, I just really loved going back to the old sets. As John was talking about, like I thought the whole episode really like made that week. Like you realized, if you hadn't read Fury's Big Week, you realized how close those events were. That they're just going from the where Thor's hammer was to the college that Hulk was at, to the diner, and you realize that these things will all happen basically right after one another. And if you're just watching the movies, you probably didn't really pick up on that. So I thought that was kind of cool that it just felt so close and so familiar. And I love the Incredible Hulk as well. I love going back to that setting at the college, and they kind of recreated that battle sequence in a little different way. So I thought that all that was great. Hulk blowing up, man. Who else wanted to do a slow-mo shot or go back to the puddle of green goo or whatever the heck it was after Hulk just sat there and exploded? I really wanted them to show what the heck just happened there, but that was pretty grotesque. I'll just add that.
Very much so, very much so. How about you, Jeff? What did you think about that beginning scene?
Well, I can tell you one thing. I didn't like Hulk blowing up like that. I thought that shit I thought it was stupid as hell. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you couldn't kill Hulk off better than that? Like, whatever. Like, I mean,
how would you kill Hulk, Jeff?
Well, as far as
put him on the spot.
You're crossing the orange, Jeff.
I'm just messing with you, man.
You're good, man.
You don't like little things going inside of big things? That's like I have it in my notes in so many different places. Like talk about little things going inside of big things. like Sue Storm, like sending her little force field bubbles inside people and then like bursting them and stuff. Like I love that shit.
Oh man, I didn't care for the whole thing with the Hulk. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I would have liked them doing something different. But basically, I mean, like what everybody else said, I agree with everything that everybody else had to say. Basically, I mean, there's not that much to really tell. You know, it's just that I didn't know what to expect from the episode because I mean, like everybody already said, it was a totally different direction than the first 2 episodes of the show. So it went in there was a different style to it. When Tony Stark died, I didn't really know what to think. Like, I couldn't really in my head come up with any kind of really good idea as to like what happened to him or what was going on at that point. I felt like it was like cool fan service that like it was Iron Man 2 and it was the donut shop and everything and whatnot. Like I liked the visuals and everything. The animation looked really cool during all that. I felt like I really thought the animation was really solid. I really like Nick Fury, like animated. I think he was pretty cool. Like I like the fact that the whole show revolves around Fury and Black Widow. You know, like even though it's not ScarJo doing the Black Widow, which is kind of disappointing for me that they couldn't bring her back to have her do it. The girl who did do it was pretty good, so I liked her. I thought she was all right.
She's a good comedian. Her name is Lake Bell. She's actually in this movie called
I've heard of her.
Yeah, she's in that movie In a World, like making fun of the movie trailers, and she has this fucking funny part where she does like Russian Star Wars dialogue, and she does a like, these are not the droids you're looking for, in this good Russian accent, and it's a highlight of a very good movie. She's very good.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, it's great.
She's a good actress, but the voice didn't sound anything like Black Widow.
Yeah.
So I was pissed off by that. I mean, I like Belle as an actress, but I didn't care for her performance as Black Widow. I didn't think it was that great.
Well,
that was one of the things that kind of annoyed me. That majority of people, they had quite a few of them were able to do it, but a few of the certain ones were just like, at least find somebody that sounds similar, but like that didn't sound anything like ScarJo. And like at least Tony sounded somewhat similar, so I was at least happy with that. But still, that kind of kind of the main other character besides Nick Fury talking throughout the whole episode, that just kind of it got annoying after a while, I thought.
Well, they said that they couldn't, that it didn't work out to where ScarJo could come back and do the voice work. Like for whatever reason, she couldn't do it. It has nothing to do with the lawsuit or anything like that. It's just like the way things worked out. Basically, I kind of think that like the reason that they didn't try to find somebody to mimic ScarJo was they thought that would have been kind of like, not the way to go. So that's why they went with like a totally different kind of voice with the character, but like, again, like I said, I like that aspect of it. I really enjoyed the shield aspect of like Iron Man 2 and like the Avengers and everything. Like I really liked the whole shield aspect of it. So like that was cool.
I miss that stuff. I miss the shield and the governing organization and Fury and helicarriers, and I love Winter Soldier, but they blew their wad a little quick with getting rid of shield for a minute. So it was nice to revisit that well,
Yeah, totally agree there. Totally agree. So as we move on into the episode, so we had that great introduction, they think, because, Black Widow basically had injected him with that serum, they think she was basically the killer right now. So we have her being transported away, and, basically she's in the car, and we actually get an interesting kind of cameo, I thought, of Rumlow is actually in that van with them. So we get a little bit more of that shield camaraderie we've just been talking about there. And I thought it was great that Frank Grillo was able to voice the character. And I thought this was an interesting scene because, like, she's like, this is not going to contain me, she says. And then all of a sudden she's like, can you hold these handcuffs? And then she starts beating them all up and stuff. And I thought that it was like kind of like hilarious how they like did it, kind of like, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh man, what's going on back there? And they stop and I'm like, oh man. It was kind of just like one of those like kind of scenes you were like, okay, that was kind of funny, but at the same time you're like, it was kind of dumb at the same time. But it's like, didn't you foresee that happening? So that was my thoughts on the scene. What were your guys' thoughts? So let's start with you, Travis.
Okay, that was a bit silly, but I'm granting it some leeway because it's a cartoon. It's like the very first episode where some of the action's very over the top. They wouldn't do it in live action, but cartoon, different medium, so different rules a little bit. The action bits, or the rapid punching, reminded me of Donnie Yen's Ip Man films. I don't know if anyone else has seen those, but they're fantastic, and it's just very similar. with all the rapid face punching.
Mhm.
But yeah. Also, they didn't get him back audio wise, but the guy who plays like Rock Rumbl's second in command also was visually represented. He played KG Beast in Batman vs Superman. That guy stood out in Winter Soldier, so it was nice to see him back, even if it was just kind of visually. I'm wondering if he got paid for it, but just out of curiosity, yeah. That's really all I had to say about that scene.
Nice. Thank you. How about you, Perry? What did you think about that scene?
Yeah, I think it was like one of those scenes that just like it's the cartoon scene, you know, it's like the animation scene, you know, it's part of that, like Travis was saying, it lives by different rules in like the animation, like in the animation realm, you know, and it kind of just, I think it also levied a little that like tension of like, all right, so Tony Stark's dead, Black Widow's going to jail, like what, like it takes a little bit of that serious like dark turn, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, like it's back to like that MCU kind of like, all right, ScarJo's just gonna, or Black Widow's just gonna knock her, yeah, she's just gonna kick her and punch her way out of this, just like this like superhero should, you know. So yeah,
Very much so.
I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was like a fun moment in between like the blowing up and killing of all of our favorite heroes.
Yep, I would agree. I would definitely agree there. How about you, John? What did you think about that scene?
It kind of reminded me of the elevator fight in the Winter Soldier with the confined space.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and there's this extra kind of looming weight, knowing where we are now with Rumlow being there and knowing that S.H.I.E.L.D. had been infiltrated so far in advance. And this is Hydra, this is not S.H.I.E.L.D. So there are these maniacal forces behind the curtain here, not just apprehending Natasha for where this Agatha Christie style whodunit, the clue whodunit, as Barry said before, with the whole kind of conceit of this episode, but also knowing that Hydra is behind the curtain also. So that's almost like its own MacGuffin to begin with. And I do have a theory, because they name check Alexander Pierce, Robert Redford's character here, and they're like, oh, we're going to bring her to Pierce, blah, 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 blah. So I do have this theory that I'll kind of wrap up towards the end of the episode, but I do want to plant the seeds here about who the mastermind of this entire thing is. So
Very much so. Very much so. It was a very shocking, actually, kind of. I kind of knew like who it was after this certain words were mentioned towards the end of the episode, but at the same time, I was like, I'm like, who could be doing this? Who could be doing this? But yeah, that's a great little seed that you planted there, John.
yeah.
How about you, Arch? What did you think about the that scene?
It most reminded me of the truck escape sequence from Winter Soldier, actually, which of course would come after this, but the one where Maria Hill is posing as a guard and knocks a couple people out, frees Sam and Natasha and Steve, of course. So that's what it most reminded me of. Of course, they'd never get to that point after these events, but it was interesting nonetheless. I'll echo Perry's sentiment that the biggest thing I picked up on from the first 3 episodes here so far is that the animation world, people are acting differently than they would shoot these scenes in live action. They just react differently, they say things differently, and they're doing it in an animation sort of style that they wouldn't film these in the same way or talk in the same way in live action. The only other thing I'd note is just that there's a ton of cameos in this. You guys mentioned the strike team, but there's Thor, there's Hawkeye, they get Betty Banner back in here, there's Bruce. There's a ton of people in this episode, and I thought this scene was the one where I picked up on that, like that there was just a ton of people around. I love seeing the strike team back, so I thought that was all cool.
Yeah, nice. Thank you. Yeah, I would totally agree with that, because it, like, like Perry was saying, it was a good, like, kind of buffer scene between the craziness that was going on, the exploding and stuff like that. So, I mean, that's what kind of the scene did. And, I mean, this scene actually made you think a lot. It brought a lot of memories from other MCU projects to your mind. Like everyone's been mentioning, you got the S.H.I.E.L.D. thing going on. You got Winter Soldier thoughts going on and stuff like that. So I think that's a really great thing that they're, that they kind of are refreshing things, as we've mentioned before, recycling material that we've already gone over, but trying to make it fresh so that people want to rewatch it. So I think that's, kind of what If is kind of doing. What did you think about that scene, Jeff?
Well, I think, like you said, there's a lot that plays out, like, when it goes down, with the whole truck scene. I really did honestly think that it was going to be like a Steve elevator deal. Like, that's the first thing I thought, was like, that's exactly what they're setting up. You know what I mean? And honestly, like, live action, like, combat, hand-to-hand combat is just so much better than animated hand-to-hand combat. Like, I'm sorry, but it's not the same thing. But it was all right. Like, it was interesting. I liked the direction that the episode was going at that point. Like, I was into it and everything. And I mean, again, my main thing is just that these episodes are so short. I guess they have to do that. I mean, because of the animation aspect of it and everything. I guess I get it. But this one I think clocked in at 35 minutes with the credits. So, like, it seemed, it almost felt kind of rushed a little bit to me. I really enjoyed the episode at the point that Black Widow broke away from S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything and whatnot. I didn't like the way the whole thing went down with Hulk. I wish they would have done that differently. But
how would you have killed Hulk?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Come on, you've had a few minutes to think about it now.
I wouldn't kill Hulk at all.
Maybe the Abomination could have popped up and, like, beat his ass or something.
I was hoping to see Abomination, but yeah.
Me too. That's why I was hoping Abomination was going to pop out, but no. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and, how like when you're like when they're doing Congress or like the Senate, they just go ahead and like let the people know that they're gonna like save their time for later on in the show or whatever, or like later on during the skit. Well, I'm gonna do that right now and go ahead and bank the rest of my time on this like go around and save it for the Eternals trailer and the Shang-Chi trailer.
Okay.
So give me an extra 3 or 4 minutes later on in the show.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Jeff, for that information. So great. And I'm so glad you told us how you thought Hulk should die. Anyways. So as we move on, okay, so we had that scene. All of a sudden, we kind of it transitions. I don't know if anybody else noticed this, but did you guys notice how the Watcher kept popping up in certain scenes? You saw him in the background kind of watching. That was really cool. I liked that. I thought that was a really cool aspect that they brought to this episode. And I love that, he was like big in center and you could see him in that. He was like, I'm watching over as I'm telling the story. That was really cool.
They did a great job of placing him though, Cyber. They did a great job of like blending him in really well.
I thought so too. I thought they did a really good job with that. And I just really enjoyed that it kept showing Uatu, for a change, to see him a little bit more and give Jeffrey Wright, a little bit more kind of like screen time a little bit too, just to kind of, because he's so great at doing the voice and the narration. But, as we move on in the episode, okay, all of a sudden we kind of jump from that whole situation, Iron Man 2 kind of deal, Winter Soldier kind of idea, and then all of a sudden we're into Thor. And we have Thor coming down after being banished from Asgard, and kind of the whole scene where, he's at the camp trying to get his, hammer back. And we have Nick Fury and Barton talking to each other and stuff like that. We get reintroduced to Barton and stuff like that. And I thought it was really interesting how they incorporated that into the episode as well, kind of to give you that, that Thor aspect and the Hawkeye aspect and stuff like that. And, as things go on in the episode, all of a sudden it's like Thor is shot with an arrow. How the hell did an arrow kill Thor is what I want to know. That's one thing I was kind of taken away from the scene.
I'm surprised Jeff wasn't mad about that one.
Because, I
was wondering about that. I was wondering how the fuck he got killed by one arrow by like it made no sense to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Ant-Man, or maybe he was really, really tiny, and then he just jumped off the arrow, which is a bit they do all the time. Hawkeye shoots him, and he jumped and he climbed through his ear, and then he like ripped his heart or something. I don't know. Comic book stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah,
comic book stuff.
Comic book stuff.
Comic book stuff.
He wasn't worthy at this point, so he may have just been a strong mortal. Stripped of some of his Asgardian strength. That's the way I rationalize it, personally.
That,
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
sexy.
very
Very
true.
I like
sexy,
that
Namor.
explanation. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, still though, I mean, you are a semi-god, and you've been through battles for thousands of years. You're 1,500 years old, and one little arrow takes you out finally. Like, I just think that was funny, but at
Okay,
the same time, it's
Embarrassing.
like,
I've
yeah,
said,
Arch.
I've said this every episode so far. They've done something in each episode where we've had a very similar conversation about, but this doesn't make any sense. I think it's the animation style of it. I think it's the what if style of it. I think they're just gonna do stuff here, and occasionally something's not really gonna make sense. But I think for this series, you're not supposed to worry about it. You just go with what they're doing and don't like really go. But the power levels aren't right.
Yeah.
Let it happen.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my advice for this series.
Yeah, very true, very true. So as you know, that happens. Barton supposedly slips, and then he's put into custody. So when that all happened, what were your guys' thoughts completely on the scene? Not talking about the Thor and the arrow thing, if we don't want to talk about it, but just in that whole scene, what you saw and basically happened throughout that little portion of the episode. What were your thoughts on it, especially when all of a sudden Barton is put into custody? And what were your thoughts? So let's start with you, Perry, please.
Yeah, at this point is when I started to think something fishy was going on. That's when I was like, kind of like, all right, there's something more going on here. Like that's when I was starting to my brain was starting to try to figure out, okay, all right, what's going on? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? That's when I started to get like those murder mystery vibes of like, all right, something like little puppet master behind the scenes is doing something, because like this can't just be like freak accident after freak accident. I'm like, that wouldn't be as entertaining, like they can't get to the end of it and be like, oh, shit happens. Am I right, guys? Like all the people that were supposed to save this planet are now dead.
Pretty much, yeah.
Not how that goes. So I was like, all right, what can be possibly going on? Obviously, I would have never guessed it. Like that wasn't even close to like anything. I was thinking like, oh, they started the experiments on like the Scarlet Witch early, and she was like manipulating people. I was like, that was like the first thing that my mind went to, and I was like, oh, maybe that's going on. Oh, maybe like Loki is. I was like, all right, Loki's doing something. Loki somehow got to see part of the future or something, and I was like, oh, maybe he saw his failure, and now he's like stopping it before it happens, kind of thing. And so like that was when my mind was like starting to like try to think of all the solutions and try to beat it. And then all of a sudden I was just like, I'm not gonna guess it. Like let me just enjoy this, like brain, like stop trying to figure this out. But that was that point for me where I was like, all right, something else is going on here. Like like the Tony thing wasn't just the freak accident. It wasn't gonna stop with Tony, kind of thing.
Very much so. How about you, Travis? What did you think about that whole kind of like that little thing that happened there?
Okay, I want to point out that I enjoyed the Coulson stuff where he talks about I can't even think of the wording they use, but just pointing out how handsome Hulk is and how it's an accurate description, and how he smells.
Oh, the hair, the hair.
Yeah.
He snips his corpse.
Lustrous hair.
Yeah, it was very very enjoyable there, fun. I did wonder how many people Thor murdered there, because I mean, if a god puts your head through a railing, you are dead. Generally speaking, granted we're in animation, so it doesn't count the same way, but I also thought at this point how screwed they're going to be in a few years, around Infinity War and all that. Yeah, this is when that started to really sink in. And yeah, I didn't have any issue with Hawkeye's arrow killing Thor. I had already developed the rationalization that he's not powered up at this point. He's just like a buff dude. Yeah, that's about it, right? Oh, also, I did want to mention the Watcher. I mentioned it earlier, and I really liked that part about this episode. You're just putting him in the background more, and those panels, or those screenshots are looking like comic book panels.
Those panels.
Very cool.
You said it.
Yeah.
You said it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice. I hope we see more
Very
of
much
that
so.
in the next episodes.
Yeah, I totally. Yeah, I would agree with that. It kind of made me think of the Hulk from 2003. The panel thing that they did with that. Because I know a lot of people make a huge deal about that, like, oh, it made the movie so confusing and stuff like that. And I remember going to see it in theaters and going, I think this is cool. I like it that they're trying to make it look like a comic book. That that's what they're trying to do here. And I think it was just ridiculous how everyone made such a big deal about it. Artsy fartsy film, like. No, that's not an artsy fartsy film. That's what a comic book is supposed to be like. So it made sense. It made sense. How about you, John? What did you think about that whole incident that happened there?
I love that you brought up Ang Lee's Hulk, and I feel like I could just like turn the entire podcast into like why I love Ang Lee's Hulk, and I'll pull out my senior thesis on like why that's like an amazing movie, but I won't. I do want to bring up some Marvel.
Dude, Eric Bana was fucking awesome.
It's awesome. I love that movie. I think Ang Lee is one of the most interesting directors who just works on his own terms, and it's so funny that he seemingly gets these blank checks for these like bizarre passion projects, like bizarre passion projects from the oh my god, Life of Pi to the Winter Storm to Sense and Sensibility, crazy stuff. Regardless, the continuity of the MCU in this being so strict is so funny. There is a quick line where they're talking about how no one can lift the hammer, and Hawkeye saying not even Jackson, and he does CrossFit. When they were calling out to the guards in the Thor movie, Coulson was saying, Jackson, so-and-so, go to the side. Like they were calling out guard names from the first Thor movie. And mentioning these things, which is just like nonsense continuity stuff that only people like us would probably like be like, oh, I got 3 hours before a podcast and work. I gotta watch the 1 second of that Thor movie to like figure out if there's any Easter eggs. Sure enough, I did do it. It's what I do. And yeah, it was great. I'm so happy to see Coulson back. Again, Clark Gregg rules, and he was done kind of dirty by Ike Perlmutter and Feige and that whole beef with the Marvel Studios and Marvel Television. So it's just nice to have Coulson back in like the MCU proper and not just be a nod in Loki. Like, nope, he's dead. Sorry, confirmation. Didn't happen,
Totally agree. Yeah, I think it's great that Coulson. We've seen more Coulson and Greg giving his voice to it and stuff like that. I think that's great. You had something to say, Mr. Jeff.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, like, I really hope that they do decide to do a Hulk solo film with Mark Ruffalo, because I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know how it'll work. I don't know what Hulk they're going to give us if they do go in that direction. But if I understand the situation correctly, they have the rights now from Universal.
They do?
Yeah. They've got the rights to Namor, and they've got the rights to the Hulk.
Yeah, I was gonna say they were fishy and then make a Namor pun, but yeah.
No, Namor's going to be a Black Panther too.
I know, yeah, that's a rumor. So
Black Panther too, like seriously, that's what's going to save it. Like with them losing like Chadwick Boseman, bringing Namor in is going to like totally, make up for the loss, I think. But no, like my point was just going to be that, it's interesting how there's never really been a really good Hulk solo film, if you think about it, that's been like really great, like that people have like really enjoyed, like overall. There's a lot of people don't like the Ang Lee, and then of course a lot of people don't like the Edward Norton Hulk movie, and so I just think it would be really cool if they did actually do something with Hulk and give him a solo film. I'd love to see what they would do at this point, like with Marvel Studios. I think it would be interesting.
Very much so, very much so. I just want to give a shout out to Cosmic Man here in our comments saying Ang Lee's Hulk rules. We all agree here. We agree that it does rule. Thank you, Cosmic Man, for that comment.
One last thing, Cyber. If they would give us some animated nudity, some female animated nudity, I would really like that. That would be great. Like,
I'm sure you would. You and your nudity, sir.
I'm telling you.
No duck titties.
An animated nudity. Well, yeah, that. Yep. That was pretty interesting, huh? 1986. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah. Jeffrey, you're such a bad naughty boy.
I like animated nudity, like the way that the animated chicks look, man.
I'm sure you do,
Jeff,
sir.
I have quite the site for you to go look at after this
Oh.
podcast.
Have you heard of the thing called the internet?
Apparently not.
As long as it's got Hinata from Naruto, I'm good to go.
Are links going to be provided in the description? Of
he does. Yes, very much so.
I will provide it in the link below. Yeah.
All right. So moving on. Who did we talk to last? It was John. So next is Mr. Arch. What did you think about that whole scene and iteration?
Yeah, well, I was going to tell Cosmic Man, and following up on what John said when he was worried about a whole deviation of Ang Lee's Hulk here, go watch the MCU's Bleeding Edge Hulk review, because we did an Edward Norton Hulk review.
Oh, cool.
I mentioned Ang Lee's Hulk. Jeff threw out a comment to that, and it did, in fact, deviate into a full 45-minute Ang Lee Hulk review, right in the middle of
yeah, it did.
Come on the MCU Beyond Infinity podcast. We'll talk. We will talk about it for the rest of the episode.
It was a tangent. It was a straight up tangent, but it's a good review. You guys should check it out.
We'll do.
As far as that scene goes, I thought it was great. Let's see, we were talking about Hawkeye getting in there. I had a thought, and I just totally lost it here. It wasn't the hair comment. I did love the hair comment there that they kept going back to that. But let's see, you were talking about, catch me up, man. Catch me up. Give me a lifeline here. You were talking about Hawkeye and then the whole scene with him just being in there. What? I'm missing something here.
So
Thor dies.
Thor does die.
Come down in the prime.
Thor does.
And so basically the whole scene, we're like talking about the lustrous hair. We're talking about him getting hit by the arrow. We were talking about that, and then all of a sudden it goes to he now is captive. He's stuck in the thing because they think that he killed Thor.
I know what I was going to pick up on.
Okay.
Perry had mentioned that he was kind of like predicting or making some guesses on what was going to happen here, and I actually didn't. I started to have an idea sneak in, but I try to kind of watch all these movies without trying to guess my way through them. I used to do that a lot, and I used to have fun trying to figure out what was going on. But I started just kind of relaxing and just letting it happen and letting myself get surprised. So I thought that was great. I did have one idea sneak in, as I was like, it's got to be somebody invisible or something, and I didn't even come close to getting to the right answer. But all of a sudden it hit me. It's like a ghost, and I was like, wait a minute, maybe they did pick up on ghosts because Ghost had had worked with him at some point. So I was like, maybe it is, or especially when we get to the Natasha fight later. I don't know if that's going to be a question you've got coming up, but there was clearly something invisible going on here, and I was like, maybe it is Ghost. That's where I wound up at. Just, it was obviously wrong, but that's where.
Okay. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, totally. Yeah, we will be talking a little bit about that scene here eventually, but so real quick, we're just gonna throw up the promo for this episode just to kind of give you guys a refresher, and then we'll get back to it, guys. Mr. Jeff.
All right.
That's the moment.
I am Loki.
That created a whole new hero. Well, that's weird. Reality is not a straight line.
Well, that doesn't sound ominous at all.
Every passing moment is a chance for a new offshoot, a new variation. Space, time, reality. What if we could rebuild it?
Oh, I'm counting on it.
Journey to face the unknown and ponder the question, what if?
Awesome. Thank you, Jeff, for that. So,
Do you guys ever just think, what if,
do we think what if?
Every day.
Question mark. Every
Question
day.
mark?
Yes. ... Question.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so thank you for sharing that with us, Mr. Jeff. That was a great little kind of reminder. So as we progress on, so we all of a sudden Barton dies. We have no idea why he was in containment. All of a sudden he's just dead, and there's Nick Fury and Coulson talking in the morgue with Thor and Barton there, and then all of a sudden it jumps, and all of a sudden we're being introduced to, all of a sudden out of nowhere, Loki. Wow, it's like, so this was just got even more Thor right off the bat, and I thought it was kind of interesting that they kept going very Thorish here. So as we keep going on here, as we get introduced to Loki, him and Fury are having exchanges. Basically Loki's there to get justice for Thor being killed, and we kind of have it keeps going back and forth a little bit there. We have a little bit of that, and then goes back to shows Natasha going to see Betty Ross to figure out why did that injection kill Tony, and then we get all of a sudden Bruce is all of a sudden there, and they kind of start to reenact the Incredible Hulk scene here, and I thought it was kind of interesting. They kept kind of going back and forth. They gave us a little bit of this, and then they gave us a little bit of that. As they progressed with the episode. But I really enjoyed that they brought kind of the Incredible Hulk into the episode and gave us kind of that, kind of a little bit of that scene that we got to see in the actual Incredible Hulk film. And I thought it was really interesting that while that's happening, all of a sudden Loki's using, I believe it's supposed to be the Tesseract. I'm assuming that's what he's using to basically turn the whole area that they're in into ice.
Travis, take it.
Ancient Winters.
Yeah, that's correct. The casket of Eternal Winters is
Eternal Winters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, using that power, and so we have this all going on at the same time, and so it's kind of back and forth this whole section here. I think it's probably a good 5-6 minutes of the episode, I feel, of this going back and forth between what's going on, and that's when we get to the part also where Hulk all of a sudden explodes and dies when he shouldn't have died anyways. We've already established that. So my question is for you guys is, what were your thoughts on kind of how they did that with the episode, cutting between those kind of scenes and kind of putting that in together and kind of keeping those together with that simultaneously story going on. So what were your guys' thoughts on that? Let's go ahead and start with you, Mr. Perry.
Yeah, this is where my brain was like, oh shit, this is not looking good. That's the moment of where you're thinking to yourself, all right, they got the Hulk, all right, let's see, they still have people, and then all of a sudden it starts moving faster paced, it's going back and forth. It's showing okay, Loki's here, he's got the rage, he's here to avenge his brother, which obviously he has other ideas in mind of what he wants to actually do, but I digress. And then you cut to the Hulk, and then you cut back, and then you cut to the Hulk, and it's and then you're who's gonna stop? Who's gonna stop this whole situation from happening? What is gonna stop this from happening? Because at that point you're all right, the only person on Earth that could stop Loki at this point, or stop this whole situation from happening, or put up any defense, just turned into green goo and is just gone. And you're all right, let's sit back and see how this plays out. Because that was my moment. I was I have nothing. I was if I was Nick Fury right now, I'd just be white flag, waving it, I got nothing left in the tank for you, buddy. And that was kind of my mindset with it. I was what's the next step? And then we'll get to that next point where I don't know how it slipped my mind, but it did. Who the next person he could call up was, but that whole thing was it just felt the train was moving pretty quick, and then all of a sudden the brakes broke. Now you're all right, now what do we do? Do we get Spider-Man to jump in front of it and hold the webs out at this point? What do we do? Shit's gonna hit the fan. What do we do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally agree there. Because you're just kind of watching that, and you're kind of going, holy crap, there's so much going on, but at the same time, you're like, I can understand why they had to fit that all into that scene to kind of get the story aligned, you know? That was really interesting. But I just want to go over here to comments for a second here. We have Mr. Cosmic Man also had wrote to us, Mr. Fix It, after Mr. Jeff had mentioned, I want to see the Hulk where he's a bouncer gray Hulk. And then Jeff says, hell yeah, to the Mr. Fix It. And then we have another. Yep. And then we have a John Andrew. Oh,
That's
it's
me.
you, John, Mr. John.
I was replying because somebody in the comments, I believe it was Mr. Cosmic Man. Mr. Cosmic Man had mentioned the logical step would be do a Hulk horror movie, which I think would be something really fun. It's the Immortal Hulk comics are one of the first times in a long time that Hulk is not only front and center for Marvel, but Immortal Hulk is the #1 selling comic book right now. It's been the #1 selling comic book for a year and a half. You know, it survived a pandemic. It's a really fucking good run, and it's a really interesting take on the character. And if you're going to bring Ruffalo back into the fold, doing a little body horror like in the MCU, like we're seeing a little bit more and more of it in superhero movies in general, I think that would be like the fun fucking move. You know what I mean? So I was just giving a shout out. Sorry.
Hey, I just wanted to shout out really quick to John because he's a big Captain Marvel fan.
I am.
They stuck Captain Marvel in the episode for like 3 seconds, right?
I've been preparing for
you know
this.
why they did that? They did that because like Brie Larson is so bad acting like as an actor that like they didn't even watch. Like she did like several minutes of animation and talking, and it was so bad they cut it out of the fucking episode.
Yeah, I've been preparing. I've been preparing for you and I to discuss Carol.
That's it. That's all they gave her.
Damn, Jeff, don't kill John on his first outing here. Thank you very much.
Dude, I know people don't like Carol Danvers. And she's been like done dirty as a character where she was done dirty, you know, throughout a lot of the 90s and when comic books were selling really well. So a lot of people remember her as this kind of like either kind of like Power Girl, eye candy fucking smut.
What do you think about all my Captain Marvel shit talking? Arch really likes Captain Marvel too.
Are you sincere? Are you a fan of Carol? Because like the Kelly Sue DeConnick Carol Danvers is like sincerely like one of my like it's a beloved run, and I know people where they'll say like that is one of the best comic books of the past 20 years, and that brought in a market that comic books had lost for a really long time that kind of got scared away after the boom in the late 90s. And then Civil War happened, and then Civil War 2 happened, and Bendis took over her, and then fucking the movie came out and all this shit with Brie Larson happened, and I see both sides where there's been a bit of almost like character assassination on Carol Danvers as a character, Brie Larson as an actress, some vilified, some kind of like justifiable. I understand both sides, but I think Carol's a cool character, and I would like to see the Carol that I like and the Carol that I love actually brought out in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So it's got potential. They have a good actress. Is she kind of a bitch? Yeah, but she's also really good. So
if you would just show her titties, it would totally.
Oh my god!
It would be sweet. And I mean, I right before here, she posted a picture on Instagram where she's like shooting bows and arrows, and I was like, man, Brie Larson's super hot too, and I agree. Show some titties, that would be cool, but hopefully she just shows up. I just like the character.
Jeff, you are going for the world record of how many times you can mention breast in a episode of a podcast, I think.
I think it's
3 today.
It's an important topic.
I'm sure you do. Anyways, moving on.
Share my screen. Whoop. Smoke show. Come on.
Nice.
Anyways, moving on. Mr. Travis, what did you think about that scene, sir?
I'm a bit lost. I'm having to backtrack some with the Carol talk and all that. And,
Loki, talk about Lady Sif for 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, she was dressed odd. Like where I was watching this with a buddy and they didn't even recognize her as Sif. But yeah. The Banner stuff, the likenesses in that portion besides Thunderbolt were a little dodgy. Like Banner himself looks like an extra. Other than like a few shots where he kind of looks like Ruffalo in the eyes, but and then Betsy Ross. I'm kind of fine with that one being not like the movies because I don't really like Liv Tyler's take on it. So, yeah, whenever they eventually do bring her back, I'm fine with another actress. Yeah, I thought Thunderbolt looked good. It looked like William Hurt. I don't know if it was him playing the character, but I liked
It was not.
No, okay. I liked the Hulk explosion. I'm a horror guy. I like when people explode into gore, even if it's green and PG-13 and all that. I'll take it how I can get it. It's probably up there on the goriest deaths in the MCU, other than like the first Avenger propeller guy that gets blood misted. But yeah. I think that's. We got our first mention of nanotech here, right? And that's kind of when my mind went to him as a potential villain here. I didn't know if they'd really go that route because it's not technically a new character, but yeah, I was pretty happy with it.
Was Michael Douglas in the opening credits? I
don't know.
Even
I
pay
didn't
attention
watch
to the opening credits. Yeah.
I believe his name was.
I'm glad I didn't.
I've like watched the episode like 4 times now, so
Mhm.
I believe I noticed it during one of the times going through that his name did pop up there. It was like at the very end of the credits.
It's crazy we got Michael Douglas and Kurt Russell in a animated Disney Plus series. It is really wild. Those are 2 like giant prolific actors, you know.
Very much so. Very much so. How about you, Arch? Just a quick rundown about that scene. What did you think about it?
Yeah, I just like the setting and going back and visiting these things. Like it's like little stuff too, like the fact that the pizza uniform that Edward Norton had been wearing to get onto that campus was laying there, and that was kind of Natasha's clue. But I thought that was the most interesting part, actually, in a weird way I can't describe. That it's the Ruffalo version of the character, but that was Edward Norton's movie. I just found that kind of cool and quirky and stuff like that. I actually love actor changes, by the way. Like I would love to see like a long running series where they just change the cast like every single movie, but it's like 10 movies in a row with a bunch of different people playing them. And I think that
Have you ever seen Doctor Who?
Yeah, stuff like that. Like
Quite the show for you, buddy.
They wrote it into the plot to give us an excuse for it to happen every once in a while. It's great.
It's great. I think it's cool to like have changes like that. I think it'd just be awesome to like continue like a running series like that. But yeah, I don't know. Like I love. Again, I'll reaffirm. I mentioned at the beginning, but I do love the Hulk explosion. I just wish they had panned back and you just saw like ribs sticking out everywhere, and it was just absolutely disgusting. Like I think that would have been pretty cool. Kind of kept waiting for that to happen. I love Betty being there, Ross being there. Yeah, I love the whole thing, man. I thought it was a cool nostalgic throwback. So I enjoyed it.
Nice. I would agree too.
How
about you, Jeff?
Was it Cyber? That was not Liv Tyler, was it?
No. Some Stephanie something her name was. I have no idea who she is, but yeah, that wasn't her at all. No.
Really, to be honest with you, the that part of the episode didn't really do that much for me. Like, I mean, I felt like the only thing that I thought was interesting was when Black Widow was attacked. And at first, and we didn't know who it was who attacked her. I was thinking that maybe it was the Winter Soldier. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I was thinking. Like that, and that, like, and then, I'm not going to, I don't want to get too far into the end, but I just kind of felt like having it turn out to be friggin' Hank Pym kind of surprised me. Like it was kind of like it wasn't very impactful for me that he was like the bad guy.
Not getting too far into the end, Hank Pym. That just basically gave away everything, sir.
To be fair, I was already accusing him. So
yeah.
Good God,
you were laying the nuggets. You were laying the nuggets.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, Jeff. That's a very good point. But we're gonna move on here. We're gonna finish this episode up here since somebody already gave us the clue. But so basically, after that whole incident, we see Black Widow. She's trying to do some more research, and then all of a sudden, like everyone was talking about, maybe it was Ghost, maybe it was somebody invisible attacking her, and she gets attacked and basically gets killed.
One of the names on her screen that she was looking at was Alexander Pierce. By the way, I'm laying some nuggets for the theory I had towards the end. So
very true, very true. That was on there along with Hope Van Dyne, Hank Pym, and another one. And so as that happened, they're basically, they have all the caskets and stuff like that, and Fury's has gone into this diner, and Coulson's there, and they start talking, and basically Coulson says, "Oh, you don't have any other Avengers to contact," and Fury's like, "No, there is one more," and he goes out to the car and he opens his glove compartment and he pulls out, the 1990s pager that he got from a certain movie, and basically referring to Captain Marvel. And I thought that was kind of an interesting nod, like saying, "Oh, there's one other I could talk to," and thought that was kind of interesting. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I got to go talk to somebody. Basically, I got to go somewhere." And he's like, "I'm not sure." And Coulson's like, "Okay." And so then all of a sudden he goes over and he bumps into another Thor thing, the Defendor, the Destroyer. And I thought it was cool that they brought that into the episode. I thought that was really cool. And after that happens, and it kind of all of a sudden just shows all of a sudden Nick in this graveyard. I'm like, what just happened? Like, what's going on? Like, and all of a sudden it shows Hope Van Dyne. So in this universe, Hope Van Dyne is dead. Kind of like how they think that her mother is dead in the universe that we're used to. And so basically, as we get to the end, all of a sudden, who pops up other than somebody that Jeff gave us the clue to, Mr. Hank Pym. So after we find out that it's actually Hank that's done it this whole time, that he's the one trying to get revenge and all of this kind of stuff, which took an interesting turn, which I'm sure a lot of us were kind of like, oh, maybe we kind of probably figured that out a little bit. Some of us might have been like, oh, no, I don't know who's going to be, I thought it kind of blew me away, because I wasn't, until they said, like I was saying earlier, I think until they said Hope something, and I was like, when they said, like, oh, the name's Hope from Black Widow, I was like, are they talking about Hope Van Dyne? That's the first thing that came to my mind. And so then when it showed Hank and he's actually the bad guy, I was like, holy crap, I kind of figured this out from the get-go. So I wonder, what are your guys' thoughts of when you saw that it was Hank Pym that was the, bad guy at the end of the episode? So starting with you, Travis, what did you think about that?
I was pretty happy with it. I like that he's in the Yellow Jacket costume, pretty much a modified version of it. I like the shoulder pieces, which kind of nods to the comic version of Yellow Jacket, where he's got the silly black bits on his shoulders. I like that Douglas is getting to be the lead villain here. He's just support in the movies, which is fine, but I thought it was a very interesting turn having Hope be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., following in her mother's footsteps, who also apparently passed away in some way in this universe. It was just, they couldn't have told this episode what if Hope Van Dyne was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., because then you would figure out who the suspect was pretty much immediately. Just taking a character that we like, and I like how crazy he looks. It's fucking cool, in my opinion, and it worked for me. And we didn't talk about it in the previous episode, but like the beating that he gives Black Widow is kind of brutal for man-on-woman violence, even which is a recurring theme with him.
Thank you, Travis.
I'm just setting it up for John. Really.
Yeah. Infamous wife beater Hank Pym, right?
Indeed. But yeah, that's all. I like it. Good episode. Really a great episode so far, in my opinion.
Nice. Thank you. How about you, Perry? What did you think about that when all of a sudden Hank Pym popped up?
Yeah, that was like the moment of like, oh, this is really interesting, because it wasn't even like a character that was on my radar of like who it could be. And like you said, as soon as they said like Hope, I was like, oh, that's when it started to click. I was like, oh, Hope Van Dyne, let's see like where this goes a little bit. And yeah, it was a cool twist for me. I wasn't like blown away in like terms of like, oh my God, crazy twist. But like, I was like, oh, that's a creative way of like incorporating it in. I wish they had like planted that a little bit more in like the beginning a little bit. But then again, it wouldn't have been quite the surprise, but it also maybe would have felt a little more like justified, I guess, because when you just get that kind of information using like exposition, it can kind of feel like they can do anything, instead, if they had like tried to like story-wise plant that seed a little earlier, it would have felt like the story was moving towards that. But also this is a 30-minute episode and they're trying to tell this whole like movie and a half worth of like story into 30 minutes. So like I try not to get too like critical of that because it is what it is. And it's an animation. It's just for fun. So I don't mean for that to sound like crazy critical or anything, but that was kind of my thought process, was like, oh, like this is interesting. There's this whole new like backstory to like the Van Dyne family that like that happened in this universe, and that's interesting. And it led to this, which felt like a good twist, but it kind of also leaves that door open for anything can happen, which is also good and bad, I guess, for me story wise.
Very true. Very much so. Yeah, I would agree very much. How about you, John? What did you think?
I liked how the whole premise and conceit of this episode up until this point was basically that it was this murder mystery. Who is it that's taking out these core Avengers before this entire thing goes on? And then we get obviously a reveal at the end that we were kind of expecting, not necessarily expecting it to be Hank Pym, but expecting a reveal of who this killer is going to be. And up until that point, I pretty much had assumed it was going to be like Bucky and it was going to be a Winter Soldier thing, because a lot of the roads were kind of leading to it being something like that. But we also get the real reveal of the episode that we weren't expecting, the like double twist of like, what was the what if? This entire thing, we thought it was, what if the Avengers got killed, during Fury's big week? But then the actual what if was, no, it was what if Hope Van Dyne decided to join S.H.I.E.L.D. and then it spiraled this like 8 or 10 or 15-year spiral of events leading up until this. So like, what else was different about the universe up until that point? Like, obviously a lot of Hank Pym was different, which is a dope reveal, because Hank Pym is the one kind of Avenger, like classic Avenger, where whenever that guy had a bad day or something kind of bad happened to that guy, he would like end up becoming a bad guy for a couple issues and just be this kind of like fucked up dude. And again, Travis was talking about how that fight sequence where he was smacking up Black Widow was pretty brutal. Hank Pym is like infamously known for his first appearance as Yellow Jacket, because he sniffed some fucking like magic science stuff that he was working on, and it drove him crazy. And he donned the Yellow Jacket costume, showed up at the Avengers mansion, threatened Janet until she married him, and then like beat her up on their wedding night. And then the crime circus shows up at the wedding and like knocks him unconscious. He remembers he's Hank Pym, and it's all good. But the kind of things that I was hinting at before is a lot of this seems like they're hinting up for some sequel baiting, and we're going to get some continuations of these series. Last week's Guardians episode is like, oh, I think we're going to get, this Kurt Russell ego plot somewhere. I think they might be setting up some sequel bait for whatever, the reveal of the new Avengers are. And I'm hoping that Alexander Pierce is the bad guy, because I noticed they were talking about the mission where Hope died, and it was in Odessa, Ukraine, and that's where Natasha says in the Winter Soldier, where she met someone had shot out her tires, and then she got out of the car and she got shot in the stomach, and then the bye bye bikini line bit from the Winter Soldier. That's where she first encountered. So what if someone said, Hope, you're gonna go instead of Natasha? You know what I mean? And setting up this entire thing, the mentions of Alexander Pierce, him being the puppet master with Bucky, like what if Pierce basically sent Bucky to assassinate fucking Hope's what's his name's daughter X amount of years before, with the intention of like taking Fury down or some sort of maniacal shit. It's solid comic booky fucking storylines coming in like little 30-minute increments, and I fucking adore it. I really like this episode more than the previous installments too.
Nice. Thank you. How about you, Arch?
Yeah, I think everybody's covered it pretty well, but I'll just add a couple of little things here. One, this episode is the best so far at building up a much more complex plot than you thought was really going to happen. The other two were good, and they did some unique things, but they were largely kind of like slightly different versions of things we'd already seen. The first one almost was a kind of a copy of really the first Avenger, almost verbatim. I mean, there's different things, and they do some interesting things with it, but this really offered something else. Like the moment she says Hope, I was really on it's Hope Van. It's the villain is Hope Van Dyne, but then there's another layer to that, and you're like, oh no, Hope's dead. It's her dad, and you're like, wow, this gets really complex. You're like, wait, what all happened in the past? And there's this really underlying complex plot that happened there that you're kind of like trying to like think about afterwards. So I thought it gave you a lot to really digest. About what was really going on. Even the ending, I don't know if you're going to get to this in a second, but the final showdown with Hank and how that really plays out is I guess if you were really thinking about it, you probably could have guessed your way into what's actually happening there. But I'm like, wait, what is Fury doing? How is this happening? And then you realize he'd had this kind of like plot with Loki. So there's really a lot of meat at the end of this episode. I thought it was really great. Just to John's point, you guys have had Deathman on before, and if you've ever talked to Deathman on Sakar at all, he's a really big theorist in terms of this show building to a larger plot, both within itself and possibly in the larger MCU. I don't know how far I'm going down that road at this point. I don't know if they're doing anything, but certainly last week's ending with Ego makes me think that they're going to get to more stuff. I don't know if there's like a big overarching plot, or if they're just going to have a follow-up episode that has to do with things we've seen. I don't want to go down that path too far yet, but there could be some stuff kind of simmering there. We'll see. But
Most definitely. How about you, Jeff? What did you think about when Hank Pym popped up?
Like I said, it was an interesting way to tie off the story, and like Arch said, it was the best plot that we've gotten, like the best story we've gotten, like, out of all these episodes or whatever. This has been the best one so far. This is the one that kept me the most connected and like tied into and everything, to where I really wanted to watch it. I watched it twice, which I didn't do with the other episodes, to be honest with you. I did watch this one twice, and like I said, I mean, I don't know, Hank Pym looked pretty cool. Like in that final scene versus like Fury, he looked pretty cool. Like in his armor and everything and whatnot. Like I thought it was pretty tight. But basically, I'm just jacked up and ready to start watching the Eternals trailer.
Yes, I know you are, and we're getting to it. So to finish us off here. Basically, once we see as Hank Pym, he fights Nick Fury. All of a sudden, there's several Nick Furies fighting him. How's he keeping up? How's he doing this? And all of a sudden, we find out that there's this awesome. Basically, he made a pact with Loki, and that Loki is helping him with this. And basically, they stop Hank and they take him away. And then Loki decides he's going to stay on Midgard. And then all of a sudden, we get this giant scene where it's at the White House, and he's like basically taking over. So I don't know if that's like a bigger plot that they're going to be going to and eventually down the line with What If or not, but that's definitely, I feel that's kind of like an ego thing too, like what they did with the last episode. And then after that, it shows Nick Fury and the caskets with Coulson and all the Avengers that have passed, and then all of a sudden, right before the episode ends, all of a sudden we see Captain Marvel pop up. And is ready for business. And I was very happy they had it where it was a long-haired version Captain Marvel, which I hate the short-haired version of Captain Marvel. I don't think it looks good. I think it looks horrible on Brie Olson is when they had her in Endgame. But I think that it was nice that at least they kept it that version of Danvers, because I don't know if, like, because in this universe this is so different, it could be not part of what happened with Endgame and so forth. So because this is a different multiverse, but I thought that was really cool and I really enjoyed it. So that's pretty much what the culmination of the episode ended up happening for us. I mean, did any of you feel the same way uh, about seeing Captain Marvel? Just briefly, what you thought about it, her all of a sudden popping up right at the end. Starting with you, John.
I might make me either because I was cackling because I was excited to see Captain Marvel. I again want to see Captain Marvel done some justice. I want to see Carol done some justice in the movies, and she is a really cool character. She's a little kind of like overpowered. She's gotten kind of pushed to the forefront as, hey, check it out, this is important, and like I get all that stuff, but I think deep down there's an awesome character there, and I'm assuming that one of these episodes is going to be a Captain Marvel episode. I don't know if we're going to get a continuation of this. I would really dig it because I think this episode planted a lot of cool seeds for some more, and I would like to see this Captain America, Captain Marvel. Who else are they going to recruit? So, yeah, I was excited, and I'm curious. Who do you guys think the other Avengers in this squad are going to be? Because we don't have the Maximoffs yet. You know, we don't have Vision yet. We don't have a lot of these superheroes that were just brought back. You know, because of Tony Stark or all of these characters that were just killed off. Like we're going
to be seeing them, John, in the Eternals trailer. We're going to be seeing, and we're going to be seeing.
Oh yes, the memorable Icarus.
Some of those characters are going to be Avengers.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe Icarus will stick. Who knows? I would like to see Salma Hayek in an Avengers movie someday. That sounds dope as fuck. So hopefully these characters work.
Yeah. How about you, Travis? What did you think about Captain Marvel popping up right at the end there?
Oh, it was fine. Like it felt like just a way to either sequel bait, like John has mentioned, or a way to offset the down ending of like Loki in charge of all of Earth, pretty much. Not that I really needed to offset the down ending. I like those, but yeah. I don't have a preference between long-haired Captain Marvel or short hair. I like Mohawk Captain Marvel with the helmet personally and sash. That's what I want from my Captain Marvel. But yeah, it was fine.
How about you, Perry?
Yeah, I thought that was it was a nice little nod, like it was a nice little say there's still one, and then it shows like Captain America in this, and it's like there's still two. It's like that moment of just planting those seeds, like giving us a little bit of hope for like the future of Earth, and not just leaving it on the note of yeah, it's all gone. Like it's all done. Earth is taken over. Loki won this one, guys. Mm-hmm. Like it was cool. It was cool because it sets up like that David versus Goliath kind of battle going on, and that would be really cool to see that play out.
Was Captain America the seventh day of Fury's big week? Didn't it end with them finding the shield, and the last page of that comic was him brushing off the ice too, right?
I think so. Yeah,
I think so
was. Too. Yeah, because he was the last one
uncovered, and then it was the Avengers was the next day.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed. How about you, Arch?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. For all the reasons you guys just said, just on a side thing, because I know Captain Marvel kind of sometimes tends to be this weird conversation somehow. First of all, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. I thought it had a lot of subtle goodness that goes on in it. The one thing I was going to get to eventually here is I don't care what any actor does personally. I just don't give a shit. So they could be completely opposite of whatever I think like socially or politically, and I don't care. I don't fucking care. So like, I think a lot of objections to Brie are like this personal basis thing, and I don't give a shit. So I just think she's awesome as the character. I think one thing I'll say about her, that just in terms of the actual films, I think she has a damn wide range. You can watch that movie and she's like happy, she's commanding, she's sad, she's like, you know, frustrated, she's angry, she's like deeply contemplative in certain scenes. So I think she brings a lot to the table. I really do, and I think she looks solid in the role. I come from a Captain Marvel background back in the 90s when she was still Miss Marvel and she was wearing the black leotard thing with the gold lightning bolt thing. So that's my version of Captain Marvel. I do like the outfit that they present her in, but when I think of Carol Danvers, I'm thinking of when she was still Miss Marvel.
Yeah, a lot of fans think of her as like that era particularly. She was like pushed up, you know.
I just want to put it out there that like I bust balls about Captain Marvel, but like I'm telling you right now, as a fan, when I was in the theater, when I was watching Infinity War and it got to the end credits there and like Fury's, you know, beeper dropped and it was the Captain Marvel logo that popped up on that thing, I was as pumped and like excited about that shit as anybody in the theater. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
Very true. So before we get to the Eternal trailers, Jeff, you have any thoughts on the Captain Marvel pop-up?
No, I just wanted to ask you, do you want to start off with Shang-Chi and then we can talk about that and then we'll do the Eternals, or do you want me to just do both of them right in a row?
We'll do one at a time, sir.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Play him at the...
Throughout my life, the 10 rings gave our family power. If you want them to be yours one day, you have to show me you are strong enough to carry them.
You are a product of all who came before you. The legacy of your family. You are your mother. And whether you like it or not, you are also your father.
I told my men they wouldn't be able to kill you if they tried. Glad I was right.
You're just a criminal who murders people.
Be careful how you speak to me, boy.
I thought I could change my name, start a new life. But I could never escape his shadow.
My son, you can't run from your past.
Is this what you wanted?
You got this.
Thank you.
Jab, left foot, right hook.
All right, Shang-Chi trailer people, yeah. So we just want to give a proper send out to both Arch and Perry. They both have other obligations to get to, so they have left us tonight. We appreciate having them on. It was great to have Perry back on. It was great to have Arch with us.
We're the champions. We're still here.
But we still have a great cast here still.
My watch has told me twice, go to bed. And I say, no watch.
Good watch. No.
It just said, how can I help you? I had to mute it.
Hey, it was good to see you, Perry. And we love you, Arch.
Yeah, that was great getting to talk about that stuff. I'm always curious, too. They were talking about 90s Miss Marvel. I was like, oh, I love these guys.
Yeah, so that was great. Great having them. So back to the Shang-Chi trailer. So that comes out next Friday, actually. And when I first saw the first trailer for this, I was psyched as shit to see this film. The second trailer made it even more exciting. I cannot wait to see this film. I love the fact that we're getting more into the mystic arts for the MCU. It's another great character that we're finally being introduced to, the Mr. Shang-Chi. We get the proper version of the Ten Rings in this film. We get a more proper version of the Mandarin. It looks like an amazing film. I can't wait to see this. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this trailer? Were you excited about it? Or are you guys looking forward to it? What are your thoughts? And let's start with you, Travis.
Okay. Yes, I am excited for it. Just as a general rule, I'm excited for anything Marvel puts out. But this, in particular, like Asian film, is kind of my bread and butter. So getting to see Asian actors get this opportunity to become big stars potentially is exciting to me because there hasn't really been a bankable Asian star in a while in Hollywood. So I'm hopeful for them.
Who's the current now, in your opinion, Travis? You think it's like Donnie Yen? Who's the current big breadwinner? Is it the guy who plays Han in Fast and the Furious?
Maybe. Well, I was thinking Rinko Kikuchi from Pacific Rim. She's the closest thing, and that's obviously not like a
household
big deal,
name.
really. Yeah. Donnie Yen is popular, but I don't think his movies really sell based on his name alone. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm also excited for Abomination's ears being very fish-like. It was one of the oversights in the first movie. I like my comic book characters to look comic booky and silly a bit. I don't need like detailed explanation for why he has ears like that. But yeah, that, and I've been avoiding reviews, but the general consensus seems to be that the trailers don't do it complete justice, which makes me happy. I'm excited about Tony Leung as the Mandarin and making this character probably better than the comic book version, and giving him a bit more nuanced character. Yeah, it should be good.
I would agree. I would totally agree. What about you, Jeff? What do you think about this? What are you looking forward to it?
I think that I'm friggin' getting my Shang-Chi tickets right now, baby. Like, I'm ordering them right now. I just paid for them, and I'm just wait. Oh, I'm all set. All set, baby. I got 2 of them because I know, and you know, Cyber, that between now and then, I'll meet some new chick that I want to take with me that night anyway.
Humble brag.
Yep.
That'll legitimize, our evening. You know what I mean? Before the debauchery comes in. So, anyways,
How would you like to talk about Shang-Chi with me? I would play it how I always thought his name was Shang-Chi.
He knows what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He knows what's up. But basically, I'm like super, super stoked for this movie. Like, I'm telling you, I don't understand why Wong is trying to get down hand to hand with fucking the Abomination. I'm not surprised he was getting his ass beat because the Abomination's a beast. I'm telling you right now, if Professor Hulk, if the Professor Hulk version of Hulk that we got in Endgame fights the Abomination is gonna beat his ass. It's gonna be like Thanos whipping Hulk's ass again. Same thing. I'm telling you right now. But what I think is just that I've heard a little bit of doubt on YouTube and in the media a little bit about Shang-Chi that maybe it's just going to be not so great or whatever, or it's being hyped up too much. But I feel as always, I'm always confident and optimistic when it comes to anything that Marvel Studios produces. So at that point, I'm going to go friggin' watch that damn movie and enjoy the fuck out of it. I'll tell you right now, I don't care what anybody says about it. I can guarantee you right now, I don't even need to see it yet. I'm going to enjoy the shit out of it, and it's going to be great. And I'm going to leave the theater happy and positive about it and everything. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know what I'll be rating it, but I know I'll be happy because I like all the different elements that they have going on in the film. I do. I like the comic book stuff. I like the way they're doing the 10 rings, as bracelets or whatever. That shit is awesome. It looks dope as fuck. Seriously, coming off and on the Mandarin's arm, Like that shit looks awesome. With that image that you see when the trailer first starts, and you can see him with the rings, just like hanging in there, suspended in the air and everything. Like that was awesome. I love that shit. But no, I'm like seriously stoked for this. I really am. Like, I can't wait to see what it's going to be like when we actually get to see the whole like martial arts tournament deal that they're going to be doing. That's going to be like really cool.
I keep forgetting that this movie's like an Enter the Dragon or Bloodsport or The Quest, and that the core of this movie is essentially like Bloodsport and Madripoor. That is fun, you know.
Yeah,
and they didn't make it a white guy karate movie, Travis. It's an actual Asian guy karate movie, which is nice too. We have a subgenre of films that we refer to on the MCU Beyond Infinity podcast as white guy karate movies, which are like Bloodsports and things like, or The Quest, pretty much anything Van Damme was in for a little while. Yeah, it looks so fun.
I also agree with Jeff about the way they've adapted the 10 rings themselves. It reminds me of like an old martial arts film. Like specifically, I would say it's 8 Diagram Pole Fighter. One of them was Gordon Liu. He wears bands similar to that.
Yeah, like a Master Killer film. Absolutely, and they had the 5 and 5. It was the 8 poles that you were talking about, and it's like this trailer definitely feels a little like I don't learn anything about Shang-Chi as a character, though. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anything about this actor. Everything is kind of just a generic action movie line. And I'm wearing, I wore as a joke today a Fast and Furious shirt that says Familia and the Dom Toretto cross. As a guy who likes big, dumb action movies, this looks like a really fun, big, dumb action movie. But one of the linchpin that makes Marvel a little different than a lot of these big, dumb action movies, like Bloodsport or, I don't know. I just saw Snake Eyes, and I kind of like Snake Eyes. I walked out of the theater happy. There's a level of quality that we obviously expect from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Disney and Marvel Studios, and that is at its core about the characters and about the lore. And do you guys think that this trailer kind of just shows more of the action bits? It appeases. Like, it looks like a generic action trailer in a lot of ways with these cool cosmic elements. Do you know what I mean?
But that's okay, though.
Yeah, I agree. But I hope at its core, it's more towards, like, we get a cool character that we're going to be excited to see pop up as well and develop a franchise out of Shang-Chi. That would be really fun.
I feel that the first trailer is very generic. The second trailer is a lot more in-depth and a lot better, and I don't feel it's generic at all. I think that this actually shows that it's going to be a really well-done film. And also, I mean, the fact that the Rotten Tomatoes are already come back on it. It's 86% right now with 56 reviews. So that to me is a good sign if the critics are saying that already about it. And I mean, with it only only a week away almost, Friday will be a week that it's coming out from. Usually if a film is, subpar, usually if the critics say it's subpar, usually it's a pretty decent film and I usually enjoy it.
Of course.
So I have a good feeling about this film. I think it's going to be one of those ones that's going to kind of like surprise people. And I think they're going to like it more than they thought they were going to. And I feel this is probably going to be one of those films this year, of the Marvel films, besides Spider-Man. Spider-Man, everyone's going to love because
that'll
they
be
love
a guaranteed hit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be a guarantee. You have John Watts back anyway, so I mean that's the key
Spider-Man
right there.
Film might actually be like a blockbuster. Like that one might actually make solid money in the box office.
I think it will. I think it very much will, especially coming out Christmas time, and but yeah, I think like that Shang-Chi out of the 4 that are going to be coming out this year will be that surprise hit where they weren't expecting to do as well, and it actually does.
I'm really hoping without the Disney Plus release too that it gets some really good second and third week numbers in, and this and Eternals especially I think are going to need it because they're not like a very well-established existing IP or an IP that's beloved. Like even Ant-Man could come out now and do kind of well. Black Widow was, a character established in the past. I'm hoping that like Guardians or some of these, the first Ant-Man film, we get some good second, third week box office returns, and this movie becomes like a word of mouth thing. It's basically what I was trying to get at. You know,
I'd be willing to bet $20 right now that Shang-Chi will be a better movie than the Eternals.
I would agree with you on that. I think so too. I might like Eternals more, but I think Shang-Chi is going to do better at the box office and be the popular favorite, I think.
Yeah, most definitely. I would agree with that. Just to throw a shout out to Isaac in the comments, Mr. Skywalker. Hello to you, sir. And yeah, that's awesome that you changed it to your favorite Jedi character, Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi version of him. That's great. Good to see you here in the comments. Also, just Cosmic Man, thank you for your comments too as well. Shang-Chi was a nobody in the comics. Now he's solid gold in the hands of Feige, which I would agree. And then he also brings out the part. He's like, Mandarin will finally get justice. I will agree there with you, especially because I'm sure a lot of people, I think most people agree that the Mandarin version we got in Iron Man 3 wasn't what everyone was looking for. Even if it was Ben Kingsley or, the Ben Kingsley version or the, Guy Pearce version, still at the same time, it's like, okay, that wasn't really the Mandarin, but still, we'll finally get a decent Mandarin, hopefully, in Shang-Chi here with.
What are your thoughts on the Mandarin, guys?
Oh,
Jeff,
shit. Rhodey Lang is
Cyber.
fucking badass, dude. He's fucking sounds like a beast.
What are your thoughts on, I'll rephrase, the Mandarin twist from Iron Man 3? Like, how did you guys feel at the time of that? And
I don't care. All I care about is that Tony Wong is playing Mandarin now. That's all that matters to me.
Yeah, they brought it back. I love Iron Man 3. That's why I was asking. And I know a lot of people, it's a sore subject, and this is finally like, we got it. Like, there's a big fanfare for the Mandarin right now.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say that the Ben Kingsley twist wouldn't have bothered me if the Guy Pearce version was better. That was just like a nothing character to me. And like the lame dragon tattoos didn't do it for me visually.
He breathes fire on Gwyneth Paltrow in her underwear. Travis.
He does. But also at the time I was disappointed because I didn't think they'd ever take another crack at the character. I didn't realize they were going to make these movies until we die, pretty much.
What do you guys think about Namor going to be in Black Panther 2, man? Like, are you guys excited? Travis, are you excited?
Travis.
I literally have a Namor avatar right now. Yeah, I'm excited. I
know, that's why I asked you.
Yeah.
I'm
excited. I hope they don't go full villain with him because I want him to stick around for a while. And I know in the comics the reason that him and Black Panther have such strong issues, it has to do with the flooding of Wakanda. I don't think you can have Namor do anything that evil and then redeem the character.
Taika Waititi killed Asgard, did he not?
Yeah, but no one we didn't spend enough time in Asgard to really care about those people. Everyone kills Asgardians.
Yeah, killing Wakanda would be a touchy thing right now. That would probably not be the best thing.
I'm excited. I hope he is as arrogant as he is in the comics. That's one of the things that I enjoy about Namor.
He's a mutant too. He's a mutant too.
Yes. I'm not I almost never think of him as a mutant, but yes, he is. So I guess he will technically be the first mutant, unless we count that guy from Black Widow that I don't.
The bear guy. The Major.
Yeah, Ursula Major. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very true.
But you're also getting the best, one of the best of many, the best Fantastic Four side characters with Namor too. And knowing that Fantastic Four is going to be closing out this phase, Namor, Jeff, you mentioned, he's also an X-Man, but he's also like one of the best Fantastic Four and longest running Fantastic Four recurring characters. What's that?
He was never an X-Man. He's half mutant.
Oh no, he's a mutant, man. He's an Atlantean born with a mutant gene, right?
He was a member of the X-Men at one point, but he's not like a regular member. Yeah, whenever they were doing the Hope Summers storyline with the complex and all that,
and he's
a member of the
he's currently allowed on Krakoa for the Hellfire Gala, so he was invited to Emma Frost's big party on Krakoa. Travis, do you want to see shirtless, Tidy Whitey's Timely Comics or Shoulder Pad Namor? Which would be your most preferred? Or like open leather jacket with big shoulder pads is what I would personally like.
Yeah, I don't. I know it's a classic and everything, but I don't need like green, scaly, Speedo. Really, that maybe it's like a brief joke, but just put some pants on the guy. You can have those be scaly, like So this is my avatar right now. Something like that, where he's got like chitin armor or whatever. Yeah. If you were to give him a ridiculous collar like he had whenever he was messing around with the X-Men, I'd be fine with that too. But I want him to dress regally, I guess.
Well, with it being Marvel, and how they do, like how they did with Aquaman, with the DC universe, anyways, how they did it. I mean, I feel like just with how the rest of, like how Thor, they looked and all that stuff, in how they try to keep it, away from certain things. I feel that Namor will probably be dressed a certain regal way because of how they want to, they want to keep it, aesthetically pleasing to the eye. You know what I mean? So even though you probably want, like that type of, version of Namor, you're probably not going to get it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I loved the Aquaman movie. Even though it did make me a bit sad because it made me think that it showed that an Aquaman / Namor type of movie can be a big success, but DC got to the punch first, so Marvel's not going to attempt it for a while, probably. Because they don't want to be seen as a ripoff, even though Namor came first.
But introducing the character in Black Panther, look what Marvel was able to do with M'Baku. Literally a character called the Man-Ape, who is like not only kind of forgotten and just like, oh, leave that character alone, like having these other tribes and these other kingdoms kind of with their own kind of regalness and their own kind of royalty, Travis. Like I think introducing him in Black Panther and having, we have to go visit this cocky king for help or something along those lines, and it's a good way to introduce the character as this, as we would like to see, very comic booky kind of jerk. Basically, we want to see this kind of rich royal like dickhead that is Namor.
Oh, before we get off the top of Namor, I want to respond to Cosmic Man in the comments. I haven't figured out how to comment over there. It is more complicated than it should be, probably. But yes, Savage Submariner would be a fucking dope super live action.
Hell yeah.
Very much so. So to finish off our podcast, we're gonna just drop the Eternals trailer real quick and just give a brief few thoughts on that. Mr. Jeff?
"5 years ago, Thanos erased half of the population of the universe. But the people of this planet brought everyone back with a snap of a finger. The sudden return of the population provided the necessary energy for the emergence to begin.
How long do we have?
7 days.
We're Eternals. We came here 7,000 years ago to protect humans from the deviants.
Why didn't you guys help fight Thanos? Or any war, or all the other terrible things throughout history?
We were instructed not to interfere in any human conflicts unless deviants are involved.
By who?
We need to find the others.
I haven't seen some of them for centuries.
Hi.
Hello.
This is what the end of the world looks like. At least we have front row seats.
You know what's never saved the planet? Your sarcasm.
We've loved these people since the day we arrived. When you love something, you protect it.
many of them.
I bet you've built the perfect safe house. I mean, what's this even made of? Vibranium?
Fall collection. IKEA.
All right, so that was a fantastic trailer.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, this
Oh
was such a
boy.
great. This is such a great trailer. I mean, as or as John mentioned here, he's like, I could just watch Selma Hayek riding a horse for 3 hours. I mean, it's really awesome. I think it's enjoyable. I liked how this trailer basically gave us a little bit more of what we were looking for an Eternals trailer, showing us some action, some Celestials, all this kind of stuff. We got a little bit more of the other people that are part of the film. We got to see them in action, such as Kamal Najani. We got to see Brian Tyree Henry kind of do something too as well. I mean, we saw a little bit more of Angelina Jolie kicking some butt. But I mean, definitely. I mean, the first trailer was very Richard Madden eccentric. I felt like all we saw was him pretty much, and then I forget the Asian lady's name that was in Captain Marvel. But she is a character that we saw get killed off in Captain Marvel and then return in this as a different character. But I really enjoyed this trailer. I thought it made me have a much more better appreciation for wanting to see this film now versus that first trailer, because that first trailer I felt the movie looked like garbage. I'm not a huge fan of Chloe Zhao. I don't think she's not to me a superhero type of filmmaker, especially with her winning best director and screenplay for her Nomadland, which is basically almost like a documentary style type of film. She's really good at cinematography. Yes, I give her that. But that first trailer did not do it for me. This one definitely did. What were your guys' thoughts? How about you, Jeff? What did you think this time?
Oh, basically, that Icarus looks a lot like Superman. Like
Zack Snyder's Superman.
Yeah, the Zack Snyder Superman. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly how he looks.
Yeah.
And I thought that Angelina Jolie looked really good. I guess her ability is that she can just create weapons out of thin air, like with like energy and shit like that. Like that's her ability, and I like that. I think it's pretty cool. I think that I don't know. I mean, it was nice to see some action scenes. Like it definitely changed things up for me a lot to actually see that. We still didn't get to see Black Knight really doing anything. Like you heard Kit Harington talking, but like you didn't really see him, and he wasn't like the Black Knight. So
you saw him hanging out in front of a laundromat.
I would have liked to have seen the Black Knight actually like using his sword and everything. Like that would have been cool. I would have dug that.
Ebony blade. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, that's basically it. That's about the only thing that I really thought. Like seeing it again, it's just that like they should have shown the Black Knight more. Like, I mean, honestly, from a comic book standpoint, it doesn't even make any sense to mix like the Black Knight with the Eternals. Like, it doesn't even like work. But it is what it is.
I mean, at least you got to see more of Kit Harington in this trailer. I mean, it was a lot more visible this time around. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you had him talking to Gemma Chan, asking, why didn't you guys, help with Thanos? And then you saw him with the bus when it got turned into the butterflies or hearts or flowers or whatever the hell it was by that other Eternal, which I thought, even though it wasn't exactly the Black Knight and everything, I still thought it was nice at least they got to show him a little bit more in the trailer and a little bit more visible. I definitely thought. How about you, Travis?
Okay, I'm happy that we finally get to see the Celestials. That's what I've been waiting on since this was announced. The Eternals, I don't care about these characters yet. I'm hoping they can change that. But the Celestials, I find super fascinating. I think the design overall is good. I'm a little. They don't really show you much of the legs. That's the one area where I'm not completely in love with their design. But I think they wanted to make them look less human.
That's Astro, the judge, I think.
Yeah, his design looks like Esau the Searcher, but I've heard that they're going to kind of call him Ersham, which is slightly different.
Do you think Rob Liefeld designed the Celestials, and that's why we only see them from the knees up, and we don't get to see their feet yet?
Oh yeah, possibly. Yeah, we'll know if they develop pouches at some point throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Maybe
they're robots.
The style of the movie looks more highbrow sci-fi, like something like Arrival or Blade Runner, where it's going. I don't know if it's going to connect with general audiences the same way that most Marvel movies do. I hope it does, but we'll see. I do know that they say that the reason they didn't interfere with the whole Thanos thing was because they only interfere in deviant issues, but in the comics, Thanos has the deviant gene, so a slight change from comic book lore, but the comics aren't the movies. That changes will be made. This in general, I'm kind of curious to hear what John thinks about it, because the heroes feel more like DC heroes, where they're basically gods and they do things that are on a whole nother power level.
They really do, right? And there's
less muted. That's how they're muted. But yes.
But Travis, again, like someone in the comments right now, Cosmic Man, shout out Cosmic Man with the good info, and Disco Submariner, which hopefully we'll write a song about someday. We wrote a Disco Vision song on our podcast. So but the later Kirby stuff is very almost highbrow for comics and really heady for comics, and the New Gods and all of the work that he did over at DC, Travis, that you're kind of referring to, where it's like they kind of feel more like DC characters. They're really powerful, almost overly powerful, with a very complicated, very mythological based origin story. And actually, Jeff, you were saying, like, I don't really get like where from a standpoint would like the Black Knight fit into all of this stuff, but they mentioned these things in this trailer, the emergences, right? Do you hear this, guys?
Yes.
So they have these events in the Eternals lore and like the lore of the Marvel comics called like the Great Cataclysms, and it'll like yep. And a couple of them have occurred, and
that's where Atlantis was sunk.
That is where our boy Namor founded the city of Atlantis. Yeah, exactly. A lot of Namor's origin is tied up in all this, but a lot of a lot of the Marvel origins of the entire world and Earth are tied up in stuff that was, written by Jack Kirby in the late 70s, and it's really heady sci-fi shit. But again, one of the great cataclysms happened around the time of the Middle Ages, and Morgan Le Fay and like Merlin are actual superhero characters in the comic books. Yep. And the Ebony Blade is tied into all of that. So the Eternals have fucked around in the Middle Ages. So how much of this are they going to explore? I have no idea. Do I think that this is going to connect with audiences? Like, Kingo is not Baby Groot. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think my mother is going to buy a, Kingo toy with sexy Camille Nanjiani on it the way that she bought like a Baby Groot toy and put it on her desks. And so some of the risks and stuff that Marvel's thrown out the wall in the past, like the Guardians, these relatively unknown characters, they stuck to the wall for a reason, because they're kind of adorable and they have these defining features. How much of us, in terms of like being a general audience, are going to stick to these? You compared it to Arrival and Blade Runner 2099, these kind of more highbrow concepts. I have no idea. Cyber, you mentioned not liking Chloe Zhao. Is that correct? You don't really dig her?
No.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Have you seen all of her film? I think she's a really good filmmaker. I think it's so weird that she is making a Marvel film. That's kind of why not necessarily my first pick,
Yeah, Yeah, I checked out her other two films that she's directed after I saw Nomadland, and I just thought Nomadland was very overrated. I did not care for it. I thought if they were going to make a documentary about the nomads, I totally would have gotten the film. But
Sure.
this movie was made like it was supposed to be like a drama, type of film, and it did not have that feel for me at all. And I love, what's her name, McDonald?
Frances McDormand.
Yeah, Frances McDormand.
Yeah.
I love her as an actress. I think she's fantastic. I loved her in Three Boards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I loved her in Fargo. Loved her
One
in
of our
pretty much
best living
anything.
actresses. Yeah, one of the best
Yeah.
living actresses. Yeah.
And so, like, seeing her in that film, I didn't feel like she fit in it.
Okay.
Even Michael Strahan in it, I
Sure.
think he didn't fit into it. Like, these are great actors and actresses that, are amazing in any movies, but they could not keep me attached to this film. I was just so bored to death with this film, and it just felt like it should have been a documentary.
Yeah.
If she had made it as a documentary, I would have enjoyed it way more.
Yeah, shout out to Cosmic Man with the good information too. By the way, with the Kirby tying things into the origin, because that's very much what the Eternals kind of did. Jack Kirby did a lot of that cosmic stuff over at DC when him and Stan had the kind of infamous fumes in the '60s, and he left to go work for DC, and he did the New Gods, and we got Darkseid and Orion and all this great cosmic stuff and Mr. Miracle. And then once he left DC and he came back to Marvel to play nice, he kind of tried to do the same thing there. And it's just really big stuff. And like you were saying, Cyber, like Chloe Zhao isn't like, I don't think of her as like a big director. I think of her as a very personal director. I can see not enjoying her films. They're very well shot. Do you guys like the natural lighting that's going on in this because it doesn't look like it's filmed on like stages or CGI. The CGI, obviously they're CGI. Those gargoyle things are supposed to be the deviants, correct? The Transformer gargoyles. Cool. But it doesn't look like it's filmed on a backlot in Atlanta. It looks like it's filmed like, out in an actual set. Like, it's cool, I just hope it connects with people because I think I'll enjoy it. I like these kinds of movies. I just hope it connects with people.
Most certainly. You had something you would like to add, Travis?
Yeah. One last thing about the Eternals that I'm excited about is just the world building. Like, even if I don't like these characters much, getting some of the origins of the MCU, that is interesting to me. In the comics, the Celestials had a hand in the mutants and everything like that. I don't think we're getting mutants here or anything like that, but just letting general audiences know more about how everything came to be in this universe. It's exciting to me. Even if they don't get to make another one, I do think they should be applauded for taking a risk for this one, especially with how often they're criticized for being formulaic.
Yeah, very much so. Did you have anything to say, Jeff?
Yeah, just that I think that honestly, it's a kind of like a weird topic just because with the Eternals, I don't know what the big demand was to like do the Eternals. Like nobody really was asking for it to begin with, you know what I mean? So
Inhumans was already taken, I guess.
We didn't know if we had the X-Men yet.
Yeah.
That's good. Hey, you know what? I'm sure you guys have probably already heard how people are framing things to where like now this could suddenly be how they would do mutants.
Sure.
Like right off this whole like concept of like the cosmic energy off of like the snaps and shit like that.
Absolutely.
Like
I mean, we've seen the Infinity Stones grant so much power in this universe as it is, and Marvel and comic book storytelling in general has this tendency to use MacGuffins like the Infinity Stones or the Mother Boxes or something along those lines, or the Captain America serum for the Ultimate Universe in like 2000. Like the entire universe was framed around trying to reinvent Captain America. That's where all the mutants came from in the Ultimate Universe. So I could very well see the MCU doing like something with the Infinity Stones and just basing the foundation of how they introduce all of these new kinds of powers and stuff as the MacGuffin or the catalyst. Because Travis, right, they're doing Miss Marvel based off Infinity Stones and not as an Inhuman already, correct?
It's a little unclear. There's a lot of rumors about that one, and some of the concept that's come out with it is very different than what I was expecting. Like, her costume's good, but there seems to be some sort of energy gauntlet she's wielding, so the rumor is they're going to be changing her power from being stretchy and elastic and all that to having like Green Lantern-esque powers, which I'm hoping is not the case. I want the stretchy stuff,
but it doesn't appear like, I don't think they're going to come from the Terrigen mist. Do you?
Oh yeah.
So let me ask you guys. I want to ask you guys a couple questions. I'm sorry, Carol. I didn't mean to cut you off, but let me just ask you guys a couple questions. So, where are you guys at with your podcast in terms of like when are you guys going to like try to do some like actual like Infinity Saga reviews and stuff like that? Like, are you guys going to get into doing that or?
We've done what we've called our giant-sized episodes in the past, and we've been doing it with our basically in phases, and we've used that as an opportunity in between the series that have been coming out where there isn't any new weekly content, because we post weekly. The episodes used to come out on Fridays, now they come out on Wednesdays, so we would watch the episode on Friday, take down as much information and call each other as excited as possible about the new episode of whatever Marvel shit we were talking about on Saturday and record it and put it out every Sunday. And in between that, obviously, we didn't think about like, what the fuck are we going to do in these weeks in between? One of the things that we've been doing is covering the giant sized episodes where we've been doing phase 1, phase 2, and we still have phase 3, and we were talking about actually dividing it up in between, the first beginning of it and the second of it, because there's so much to cover in those episodes, you know what I mean? And there's so much to cover that we would really, I think in the future, Travis, we're going to end up going film by film or doing a commentary.
At a certain point, they do kind of don't get the justice they deserve whenever we bulk do them. But also, we've talked about each of these movies so much over the years that it's hard to. Well, let me get guests on to help with the just hearing perspectives we hadn't heard before, and telling people why they're wrong and why we were right. And
that's one thing I can tell you right now that you'll accomplish if you join Sakar. If you go on Sakar, that we're from Arch, where Arch is from, sakar.freeforums.net. If you go on there and you join, like you can guest on the Podcast of Champions and expose like yourself to like all of their different people there, and they guest on my shows all the time. So like, and they're very reliable people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they all contribute very well in their own way and everything. So like I've worked with a lot of the people over there. And I'm just saying, like, you guys should think about checking it out. Seriously. It's sakar.freeforums.net. And if you guys just go on there and make a profile or whatever, Grandmaster will like approve it and you'll be on there.
Can we get one more plug in before we wrap up the episode?
Plug away, brother. Yeah. Plug away, man. Get after it.
You want to plug the Facebook group too, John?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. I'm giving I'm asking to plug, but really you're the one doing the plug.
I have a tendency to ramble.
You got as long as you need, brother. You go ahead and plug away, man.
Yeah, we have the MCU Beyond Infinity Facebook group, and Travis and I started it right around with our co-host Kira, right around the time that we started the podcast, and it is very active, and we have a ton of people in there, not just talking about the Marvel movies, just everything in general, films in general, and we've cultivated this like pretty positive and like spam free corner of the internet that we're kind of proud of at this point. So yeah, definitely check out the MCU Beyond Infinity podcast Facebook group.
Do you want to plug
our podcast is on Spotify. That's where I mainly link to whenever I post about it in our group. It's MCU Beyond Infinity. And yeah, it's available on all the various podcasting sources.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, listen, guys. I'll definitely make sure that I get you back on here again during this What If series. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, probably not next week, but like maybe the week after that or something like that. I'll check in with you guys and see what's going on. And, you know, I've already let you know that, like, I'm out there for you guys. If you want me to come on Saturday night, one of these nights, and guest on the show and do one of your reviews or whatever, I'd be happy to join up and, you know, let you guys moderate and everything. And, like, you know, I'll guest on your shit.
Oh, dude, you would love it. We literally sit around for 3 hours and interrupt each other mid-thought.
There's moderation is a foreign concept on our
There is no moderation.
Just warn me beforehand so I can, like, make sure I've got a couple alcoholic beverages lined up. And
Please get ready for the text messages. Can you turn your voice down to a light roar, please, in the middle of it?
For real.
Speaking of which, I'm getting a bunch of those. So,
Do you guys want to plug anything else?
check out my buddy Android's Amazing Podcast from the fine folks over at Android's Amazing Comics in Sayville, New York. They are my local comic book store. Anthony, James, Hunter, and the entire gang over there at Android's Amazing Comics in Sayville, New York are the absolute best. Support your local comic book shops, please. They are not only, you know, brick and mortar institutions that you could be supporting, but they are also really good places to cultivate like-minded people where you can find something that could potentially change your life in a very creative and positive way. So yeah, support your local comic book stores. And if you're from New York or Long Island, go check out the guys at Androids because they're the best.
All right, and at that point, for the MCU's Bleeding Edge, we are basically going to close things out. I just want to go ahead and thank Cosmic Man for all the great comments during the show and everything. Isaac, thanks for checking in. It was a great show, guys. John, Travis, I've really enjoyed getting to know you guys, and I had a really good time, working with you tonight and everything and whatnot. And hopefully I'll see you soon. And John, hopefully you and I will talk soon about that DC show that, like, I want to try to put together.
Man, you want to hear me talk about Zack Snyder? Get ready.
I still haven't done one single review of Justice League Snyder Cut.
We just did our first DC show. We called it the Fortress of Solid Dudes, and that is a name that I've had in my head since I was a 5-year-old boy. So yeah, I would love to do that. That would be a ton of fun, Jeff. And thank you again. And Travis, I look forward to rambling with you on Saturday, my friend.
Oh yeah, you're covering the same thing.
I got all my notes ready.
Oh yeah. It's been fun.
It's been fun. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. All right, everybody. It was. And hey, for everybody out there who ends up catching this later on when this is no longer a live stream and it just becomes a video and everything, we really appreciate all of you. Please subscribe. And God bless all of you, and we'll see you next Wednesday night, no matter what, rain or shine, at 9:05 p.m. Eastern, 6:05 p.m. Pacific, getting after it, covering episode 4 of the What If Disney Plus series, and then, and actually doing the Spider-Man 3 trailer. So that's going to be freaking dope as fuck, just like John Cena said in Suicide Squad.
All right, y'all. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Peace out, y'all.
We are back.